whoop, whoop. I like when you be editing and niggas. You should do that one time, like whoop, whoop, whoop. I like, damn. It's the remix. Okay.
What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L. I'm back with another reaction video, man. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I know y'all be laughing, wondering what we be laughing at before the video start. Be some interesting conversations go on before we hit the record button, man. So just know it be wild in here. All right, so we back, man, and we back with another Mr. Nightmare, one of these stories, man. And this one
is by request, though.
This one is by request, and this one is probably gonna hit home to a lot of people because Uber is widely used. Uber and Lyft right now, two widely used, what you call them, methods of transport. Yeah, car service or methods of transportation. So we're gonna be checking out 4 creepy true Uber stories, man. So
have you rode in an Uber? Yeah, you have.
Yeah, we did ride in an Uber. We rode in one when we was on vacation. I think that was sort of our first time ever, because we never really did. Yeah. It happened on vacation because we was taking the kids to like a theme park or something like that. So we ended up Ubering out there, or Lyft, whichever one. You know how testy people are. No, you should do Lyft or instead of Uber, whatever.
I got both of the apps, so I don't discriminate. Car is a car. But yeah, I'm just like, okay.
I'd be skeptical about it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Just because you never know, man. You just never know. So I think you should always still be skeptical and always be alert. But
I feel like you have to be alert regardless. Be safe regardless, you know, with whichever transportation you use. I mean, even if it's a cab or whatever, it's time. Like when I did that trip, we was in a cab and them cabbers, they be hitting it, boy. And I was like, okay, where's the I was like, whoa.
So before we get into this joint right here, man, please take the time, if you're new to the channel, and hit the subscribe button, man. Hit that subscribe button. And you see the social media links on the screen. I'm not gonna point because I'm pretty sure where it might be, but it's subject to change. So when you see it, give us a follow, all right? With that being said, let's get to this. Here we go. About to change our views on Ubers.
What you're about to hear was the worst night of my life. I went out to a downtown club with my boyfriend and his friends on a Saturday night. My boyfriend and I hadn't been getting along for a while, and at some point in the club, we had an argument. I didn't want to be there anymore, so I went outside and called an Uber to pick me up. It was raining that night, so I waited under the awning of a building nearby to the club. A white car pulled up in front of me and stopped. I walked over, and the woman driving rolled down the window. She said, "Uber?" And I said, "Yeah," and then her name. She said, "Yes." So I got in the back seat. I asked, "How are you?" And I'm pretty sure she didn't answer. When I didn't hear a response to my question, I shot a glance up from my phone for a second.
How do you feel about conversation and Uber rides? Because I never try to initiate a conversation. I pretty much just like for you to just take me where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? But some people are very kind and want to hold conversations. I just don't like the awkward exchange sometimes. So, you know what I'm saying? If it is something interesting, like when we went on vacation and we was talking to the dude that gave us a ride, I had no choice because I was in the front with him. You know what I'm saying? So, and then he knew about sports, so it was good conversation. Then he was trying to quiz me on sports like I ain't new. So when I shut him down, he was like, "Oh, okay, so you know what you're talking about." Yeah.
Right,
so I try to avoid it, but I'm not above it. You know what I'm saying? I can have a conversation.
I feel like either way, it's awkward. I feel like if you're conversating with someone that you don't know or about something, you know, they talking about something, or even in a different language or something. Because I've had one of my Lyft drivers, he had an accent, so I had to ask him to repeat himself, but he was having casual conversation. If I would have sat back there like looking at my phone, I don't want to, I don't want to be awkward. I feel like either way it's awkward.
Right. So I'm not saying that. If they do speak, I do hold conversations, but I'm just like, I don't initiate it.
Why?
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Is it rude?
You got in my car.
Because of the service.
So you feel above having to speak?
I don't know, because I don't want to.
I don't like that. Because that's like, okay, you getting at a hotel, the bellman gets your bag, so you don't say thank you or nothing. Because
No,
it's
I'm
the
not
service.
saying that, but
What
some
are you
people,
saying?
because you can get in there and then some people may not be having a good time or they just got done with a bad experience, and then, you know what I'm saying? It kind of puts you into a weird and awkward position. I don't know.
You can, first of all, you can always pick up on the energy and, gauge from that. But I feel like when you get in, hey, how are you? I'm going to so-and-so, whatever. If they don't want to talk, they're going to answer you, they're going to greet you back or whatever and, address it. And they're not going to say anything after that. But if they do want to talk, then you just engage back.
Right.
The woman had both hands firmly planted on the steering wheel. She was driving in a very stiff, upright position. She also had very curly hair and a somewhat darker skin complexion. She was driving down the street I usually took to get home, only she was going the opposite way. I didn't want to speak up and correct her just yet.
Nope. I did this before because I would like when I got in a Uber.
A Uber?
Listen, and the guy, no, he went the opposite way. I was like, wait, my hotel is this way. Where are you going? Oh, well, it was they had some kind of robbery and it was a shootout. And he had to explain that crap to me or I was getting out. I don't know if it was rolling. I was opening the door. Nah, I'm out with it.
Because maybe she was taking a different route. The further we went away from my house, though, the more concerned and frustrated I got. Finally, I spoke up and told her she was going the wrong way. She said in a horrible, thick accent, something about how she was going to the highway instead. I knew for a fact the highway wasn't the quicker route, though. Then, my phone vibrated, and I looked down to see the notification from Uber. It said on my screen, "Meet Uber driver now."
Wait a minute. Hey, that's when you gotta look and be like, all right, how fast is the car going? Then I'm looking right now.
Bruh.
Is a light coming up? Maybe a light's coming up and I can hop out. Like you start figuring out ways to get out. Like while the vehicle's moving or when it hopefully stops at a light.
Was this her first time riding an Uber? Because they tell you the car, there's a picture of the person, like.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
I guess if you're drunk and or you've been drinking, you're not paying attention. So, but there's no way you should be like.
I opened up the app, and it said my Uber had just arrived at the point I was originally standing at, and that the car I was supposed to get in was a black Nissan. At this point, I started saying in a louder voice to the driver that she wasn't my Uber. I asked her to pull up.
Why alert her that you know? Why alert her that you know?
I said, like, I feel like she could have said, no, I want to go this way, whatever, but I don't even think they can.
I think right now, you have an opportunity.
Whoa, I know Lyft has, like, the light. What does Uber have?
So one of them has like the sign in the window sill.
Does it light?
Or something.
Uber have
I think Lyft is the one that lights up. So I'm not sure.
Over and let me out. When she didn't seem to acknowledge me, I started to actually yell and push at her seat. Even though the car was moving, I even tried opening the door, but the child lock was apparently on. After a little more yelling, she finally looked at me through the mirror, then pulled off to the side. The door clicked unlocked, and I got out of the car and walked away from it. My actual Uber driver was calling me, and I picked up, apologizing, asking him to come to my current location. He said he'd be right over. And 5 minutes later, the car pulled up. When I got in the car, I explained everything to him, and he stopped the car, looked at me, and told me I'd just escaped a sex trafficking trap. There had been reports of multiple fake Ubers going around trying to trick unsuspecting victims into getting into the car to lure them to unknown locations. It was apparently part of a sex trafficking ring, and the drivers were usually female to appear less intimidating to the female victims. I just want to stress to everyone to make sure the car you're getting into is actually your Uber.
Whoa. I would have never thought that was sex trafficking, and right now you have chills. You're thinking of yourself being in an Uber right now, don't you?
Holy smokes.
I did not know that's where they were going.
That was not where I was thinking either. No.
Wow.
One night when I was decently drunk after leaving a bar, I started messaging people on Tinder. Some girl named Alicia had messaged me, so I messaged her back.
Drunk texts will get you in trouble, man.
Yep.
Them drunk texts will get you in trouble.
She answered almost immediately, asking what I was doing that night. I said I was just leaving a bar looking for someone to hang out with. She wrote back, "You should come over and smoke." I said, "Yeah, send me your address." She sent back her address promptly. It seemed like the quickest, easiest, most ideal Tinder match a guy could ask for on a Saturday night. I called for an Uber to drop me off at that address. The driver pulled up in his Honda, and I got in the front seat. Usually I would get in the back seat, but I was decently drunk and feeling extra social. The driver seemed cool. I was honest with him about where I was going, telling him I was about to meet a girl from Tinder. He laughed and said nice, and started going on about his stories meeting girls as an Uber driver and such. On the way there, I asked Alicia for her number, and she gave it to me. I started texting her, and she gave normal answers. When we got to the house, the driver said the house seemed familiar to him. Had to admit it did look a little sketchy since there were no cars in the driveway and the lights were off. He told me to be careful. I thanked him and said goodbye, and he drove away down the block and stopped near the end, I'm guessing setting up his next ride. I walked up to the house and tried to ring the bell, but I didn't hear a bell from the inside, so I knocked on the door. Then I tried calling Alicia. It went to voicemail after one ring, but she texted me right after saying it's open, come inside. Then there was a knock at...
Okay. See, this is where men don't really take the time to think.
Blood is no longer in the brain, so you have to understand what we're going through. There's no blood in the brain at the moment, so, and he's intoxicated, so the poor judgment is the least. Is the least. He's messed up. He's about to make all kind of bad decisions. He's already started.
Even the Uber driver said this place looks familiar and
no
it looks
lights.
sketchy.
The bell.
The Uber telling you be safe.
Be safe. Looks sketchy. The bell don't work, but she heard it. Then she hit you back. Like, come on, man. Then you said to yourself, this is the easiest Tinder response setup action that you've ever had. All of that type of stuff you would think rings alarm, but for us, it doesn't because there's no more blood in the brain. It's none in the brain.
The window, which almost gave me a heart attack. I looked at the window, and even though there were no lights on inside, I saw the blind was slightly lifted, and someone was waving their hand on the other side of the window. Before I tried the door, a number not saved on my phone started calling me. I assumed it was Alicia, so I picked up. But instead of hearing the voice of a girl, I heard the familiar voice of...
Uber driver, I bet it's the Uber driver. How much you want to bet? It's the Uber driver calling back like, I recognize that house now,
He
bro.
remembered
Get out of there.
Of my Uber driver. He ordered me in a very concerned voice to walk away from the house right now. I then saw the Uber driver's car pull back up in front of the house. He told me to get back in the car. I hung up the phone and listened to him. As soon as I got in the car, he drove away from the house and told me that the house was vacant. In just the previous month, someone had been lured into that house, robbed, and murdered. It was a story that likely could have been similar to my own had I stepped into that house. It was a lot for me to take in, but I thanked that Uber driver the best I could, and even took his number because he was so cool and I couldn't appreciate him enough. The next morning when I was sober, this was even more disturbing to think about.
I'm speaking to every Uber driver car I get into from now on.
Told you.
You're right. You're right.
Just being kind, but still.
Holy snap, bro. Just previously.
And
why is the
thing
place
is
not
that-
cautioned off? Somebody just
Okay, vacant homes are not. That's
I
how
know they're boarded up, but
no, not all vacant homes are boarded up.
True.
Squatters and everything, but I just like the fact that the Uber driver watches the news, stay abreast of what's happening. He's like, dang, this looks familiar.
Right.
And he actually, he went down the street to probably set up his next ride, but was thinking about it and was like, wait, and put it together, and it called you to help you.
And then, saves your life. Yes. Somebody behind the curtain was already waving you up. Come on in. I got it all set up for you. You're gonna die. That's crazy.
Both of these stories is giving me chills. That's crazy.
It was a Monday night, a slower night for an Uber driver, especially in our bum-ass town. So when a trip request popped up on my screen, I jumped on it. I was picking up a guy named John. I drove across the neighborhood to a corner liquor store that was closed at this hour. There were 2 young guys waiting on the corner, and when I pulled up to the curb, they got in the car. I confirmed John's name to make sure he was who I was picking up. Then I started heading to their destination. The 2 whispered to each other, and it was a little odd. I looked at the rearview mirror every once in a while, and every time I did, they would both notice and look back at me. I kept trying not to look, but I found myself accidentally doing it over and over. I asked them where they were headed. Neither of them answered.
Is it not showing up on your little thing? Where to go? Where to take?
Right. Should be. But that's conversation. That's just a conversation piece. Because it don't tell you what the business is. It may not necessarily tell you what business you're taking them to. So you be like, where y'all headed? Where y'all doing tonight? In that sense. Not necessarily as where physical address are you going? It could be where y'all going and what y'all up to type of.
I don't even know.
I figured they didn't hear me because the back window was open and there was wind noise. So I asked again. This time one of them yelled Harris Avenue. It didn't answer the main point of my question, which was to be polite and make small talk. But it did let...
See? He was making small talk.
Small talk that you avoid? Okay. Keep going.
See? It might be a reason to avoid it. Either from the Uber driver or the person in the back.
You get a gut feeling that something's not right. Especially when you start watching them in the rearview mirror. And then every time you look, they looking back at you. Nah. But I know from my mom and my brother doing those drives, they can't refuse a drive. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because she has that allergy or migraines and then something about dogs or something. She said it gives you a list. If somebody gets in and they have a pet or something like that, you can't kick them out. You can't pull up and then realize because they didn't say anything or whatever that they have a dog and be like, okay, I'm not taking you because I have allergies or whatever. No, you have to take everybody regardless.
Fuck that.
Let me know, these 2 were not exactly people I wanted in my car. I felt my big toe press a bit harder on the gas instinctively, just knowing I wanted to get there sooner. We got to the street, but the apparent address they wanted me to pull up to was some rundown storefront with a group of guys in front.
Oh.
I slowed down and asked if this was it. I turned around to face them, and saw they were both wearing masks now, similar to the masks from the movie The Purge. I felt something...
Whoa! Out of all the dang movies, The Purge?
That's your movie.
No, it is not!
That's your movie. Ooh,
what do you do?
I just want to purge.
Wait! Okay, mister, this is when you get out. This is when you determine the speed. Okay, she just pulled up to the location. Guys, people wearing masks. She look up and they got masks on. I mean, your natural reaction is going to be to jump out the car, but
She kind of put herself in a tough situation. I mean, she didn't put herself in there. She didn't recognize what was going on until it was too late. And by then, it's a robbery.
But how is it a robbery? Because you don't pay these people with cash. It's all through the app. Well, so you can't rob them. You don't even know when you submit if you're getting a guy, girl, who. It's random.
Right.
And then it can change.
So they decided since it was her, they was gonna go through with it. Hopefully she had something. And at this point, her instincts of survival has to kick in. So she has to assess the situation as whether or not she can hop out and run, or is she gonna have to try to remain calm. Hopefully they just rob her and get out the car and let her leave. But instincts of survival, she has to assess the situation and see what's going on. Because like you said, they pulled up to a storefront with a ton of people around it. So it could be they people and they expecting, they could be wanting to steal the car. They could be wanting to, it's a lot of different things they could be doing. You know what I'm saying? So right now you're just trying to figure out a way to survive. So.
Press up against the back of my shoulder. I assumed it was a gun. They told me pull up to where the guys were outside. I did so, and 3 big guys also wearing masks came up to my window, demanding my wallet. I gave it to them without hesitation, and the 2 guys in the back seat got out. The 5 masked men all together walked away from my car, one of them kicking at my door while passing. I drove away and reported it to Uber, who said they'd get in contact with the authorities. It turned out the info used on that John person's account was all fake, and he was using a stolen credit card. I lost $250, my IDs, and countless cards in my wallet, but I'm just happy I escaped with my life.
Facts. I don't care nothing about the cars or the money you lost, as long as you walked away. And like I said, she had to assess the situation, which was, it was already too late. The gun was being pressed to her back. She had already pulled up to a place with a ton of people at. She needed to either remain calm and pray that they was just gonna rob her at that point because she was in too deep. She
didn't have no money?
She was in too deep.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Shoot, take everything you want, because I'm hitting the banks after I leave anyway. I'm hitting the cops. I'm hitting the banks. They're gonna shut the money down and reverse my charges because these banks are so gangster nowadays, the way they do things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even worried about the money aspect. I'm trying to walk away with my life. So whatever they're asking, let's get this over with so I can get you out of my car. By the time you're out of the car, I'm hitting the gas. I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? But like I was telling you earlier, she was in too deep by the time she realized it.
No crap.
She was in too deep. So at that point in time, it's survival mode.
I would have been dead because I don't keep they got away with $250. I don't keep cash on me at all. They would have been mad. They probably took me to the ATM. They'd be like, all right, we got to ride again. Because I would have been done.
And still, if they need to take you to the ATM, they take you to the ATM. They get what they need to get out. Because a lot of those ATMs have cameras on them in front of them. So when you go to dispute the stuff that was taken from you with the bank and all that type of stuff like that, hey, you can see this camera. When the cops get all the... Why not?
Because if they got you, they're holding a gun on you and it's you getting the money, it's you getting the money. I mean, but I guess you can still say that you were getting robbed.
I'm getting robbed. So all of that stuff should be reversed. Just like if somebody steals your money out of your account for fraudulent charges, somebody gets a hold of your credit card. The money is gone, but they still reverse it.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, but anyway, bottom line is you walk away with your life.
Yeah.
None of that even matters if you're not alive.
After leaving a friend's Super Bowl party, I called an Uber to drive me home. When I got in the Uber, there was a guy in a baseball hat sitting in the back seat. I didn't say anything to acknowledge it. I just said hi to the driver. I figured I must have called an Uber pool instead of just a regular Uber. I didn't care though. We got to my house, I got out of the car and shut the door. I heard a second door shut on the other side though. When the car drove away, I saw the guy who had been sitting next to me in the baseball hat, standing in the street, facing in my direction, but his head down so that his hat was covering his face. I said, "What's up? What's going on?" He started to walk away. Still, I knew something was going on. So instead of walking to my house, I started walking around the block. I saw the man on the opposite sidewalk across the street walking in my same direction. When there was an intersection in the street, I turned. When I saw he did the same thing, I ran. When I saw he started to run too, the adrenaline kicked in, and I sprinted faster than I'd ever ran in my life.
Where's your phone? Where's your phone? Why are you not dialing 911 at this point?
Cause
what?
He not thinking. It's contrary to popular belief. When stuff like that happens, them thinking logical, their rationale skills, all that type of stuff like that goes out the window.
Even if you could think to call like a friend, like you don't even have to call 911. I thought like my natural instinct would be, okay, I'm alone. Let me call somebody I know. Oh my God, this is what's happening.
The whole fight or flight thing comes. So flight came in, he ran. Probably once he stops and regains, you know what I'm saying, his whole ability to process and think, then he'll think to call. But right now he's trying to get distance. He's trying to run. He said, I ran as fast as I ever ran. You know what I'm saying? So that hasn't kicked in yet.
Okay.
I ran faster than him, and when I made it to my house, I ran to the backyard before he could possibly see where I went. Then I went into the house. I called the Uber driver at once, and he told me the guy next to me said he knew the next guy the Uber driver would be picking up, which ended up being me. The driver had his info, so he said he would report the guy. I don't know what happened because I never called or texted the Uber driver again. I also don't know why exactly that guy would be targeting people getting out of Ubers, but it definitely taught me to be more cautious with Uber rides.
So question, who all taking an Uber today? Anybody? You? Anyone?
No.
You?
No.
Anyone? You?
No.
Anybody taking an Uber driver today? Hey, take your Uber
You
today.
can take your Uber or a Lyft. It is perfectly fine. Just be safe.
Wait till 11 o'clock p.m., 12 o'clock in the morning, get you an Uber.
Listen, and even if you have to, you do it, but just be alert, check your app. Make sure the vehicle that you're getting into matches. Make sure the person, and then when I was traveling, I would go to the car when I seen them, but I would make them say to me, call I wouldn't say, you're John or you're so-and-so. Like, no, they would have to say to me, Kayla, whatever. Like, no, I'm not calling your name because then you go, yeah, whatever the heck I call out, you just gonna go with it. Be alert, be cautious, stay safe, please.
Please stay safe, man. Y'all get at us in the comment section. Let us know what y'all think for Creepy True Uber stories, man. Wow. Hey, public transportation will never be the same. So shout out to y'all, man. Give us a subscribe, give us share, give a like, all that good stuff, man. And stick around and stay tuned. It's your boy L and the Queen. Till the next reaction video, man. We out. Peace. Y'all stay solid. Hey.
What we do here is go back.